Bennett sir, can you give me permission to share the screen? Yeah, thank you. Those who have installed the spaces, till then you can practice what we have done in the last lecture. And if there is any doubt, what we have discussed in the last lecture, you may discuss now in the first 5 minutes. And then I shall start with the new topic.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, please explain the difference between ANOVA with replication and ANOVA without replication.
So that is in the Excel part, so that we have done 2 days back. Now we are discussing about the SPSS. So when I will come to ANOVA once again in the SPSS, then we can discuss about that.
Okay, okay.
Any doubt in the yesterday's session in the SPSS part, you can ask me. So the analysis, what we have to do. So we have the option called as analysis. So in the last lecture, we had discussed in analysis, we have seen in descriptive statistics, frequency, descriptives, explore. So this is what we had seen in the last lecture. So let us go for the next one. Cross tab. Okay. So we go for analysis. In that, descriptive statistics, cross tab. Let's see what we get in the cross tab. So I'm selecting one of the information in the row and one information in the column. Okay. Suppose if I don't select anything in the column, if I'm just selecting row, you can see that I'm not getting the OK button highlighted. Yes. OK button is not highlighted in that case. So I have to select something in the row and column and then click on OK. Before OK, there is an option called as statistics. So let us see what we are having in statistics. So here we are having a few of the statistical tests, the names which are quite new to you. I'll come to this analysis part later. Don't select anything. Just click on continue and OK. And see what's the output we are getting here now. So here you're going to get a cross tabulation of two variables at a time. Since the data is quantitative and one is qualitative, the presentation is not that understandable here. It is individually giving you the 50 response day salary on the column. So the best time to use this cross tab is when you have qualitative type of data. When you have qualitative type of data. So let me take to the data set now and let me take say the data set, one more qualitative type of data. So that is your discipline. Okay. So I'm just taking this data in our new sheet where we are working and I am pasting here. So let us see the change in the variable view. So since it is alphabet, by default string is star in the type. Variable name you can change. discipline. Width is by default 1 because there was only one alphabet. Label, if you want to type, you can type. By default, yes, it is a nominal. So it is taken as nominal data. Okay. Now coming to the data view. Analysis. Descriptive statistics. Cross tab. Now in row and column, I am going to select qualitative type of data, that is a categorical data, and just click on OK and see the output presentation when we are having two categorical data in the cross tab option. You will get a very clear 2x, that is row and column format display about the count of two categorical variable. So this is the use of cross tab. Is this clear to everyone about the cross tab?
Ma'am, excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, actually, rank of the faculty in that crossed-up table, actually, like discipline A and B is there, and the first one is it's showing empty, ma'am. So what do we mean by that, ma'am?
I think there must be some in our blank space in that. I'll check that. The data set.
Oh, okay, okay, ma'am.
See, there was some blank space which the data is not there below 35.
Yes, it is not categorized.
Hence,
Okay.
so while copy pasting, I think some of the values have been not pasted
Misplaced.
there
Yes,
completely.
ma'am. Okay,
So
okay.
actually, I have not selected the beginning data here. I just selected from the half part. Sorry. Copy. Thank you for observing.
Thank you, ma'am.
So I'll just paste it over that now. All 50 entries are there. So let us perform it once again. Descriptive, cross tab. Same thing we are going to do now. Just click on OK. As I said, if you remember the last time, once we clear now, we have to clear it completely. Otherwise, that blank will be there. So let me take a fresh SPSS sheet. Because once the missing value is there, we have to clear it completely. Otherwise, the same problem happens. So what I will do is, we will clear it, or I will take a new data set. Okay, I'll take a new data set. And this data set compresses everything. So hence in SPSS, your data entry is very important. That is what in the last lecture also we have seen. When we make some change, it should be clearly done such a way that we entry properly, and then again perform the analysis. Actually, with the SPSS is little in a heavy package, now it gets little hang when I share the screen. So this is the output screen which you're seeing now after making the proper change in the data. So data entry to be noted very carefully once we enter. So this is the purpose of cross tab. So let us see the next option available to us. So coming to the data analysis, descriptive statistics. So the next thing which we can use for our useful for the basic statistical purpose is QQ plot. So can you recall where did we see this name before? QQ plot, when I had discussed with you? If you remember, in the option of checking the normality, there are different procedure in checking the normality. So one of them was QQ plot. So QQ plot is generally used to check the normality of the data graphically. Of course, the best one is, of course, what we have seen in the last lecture, Shapiro, Wilks, and Colmagro. But if you want to see graphically, then this QQ plot is used in QQ plot. So by default, you have to take, say, numerical value only. Okay. You have to take numerical value only. I will just let you know why the other things are mentioned. For that, because this is the coded one. I'll show this data analysis QQ plot. So when you see, you can have only numerical type of data in QQ plot because normality is checked only for the numerical data. By default, the test distribution is normal. No need to click anything. Just click on OK, that's all. So how will you decide from the graph whether the data is normal or not? If most of the I'll show you the window. So of course, every time you will get some summaries, but graphical part is, this is the graphical part. No, normal QQ plot of the salary of the faculty based on the ranks. It is nothing but the information, that is a description what we have written in the label. So if most of the points are close to the line, then we say the data is normal. So it is little difficult for many of them to understand here. Most of the point means how many points. Let's say, or we prefer to go for the statistical test name, grow their understanding. If you want to give a pictorial presentation, this is the which we go for. So you can just to try, those who are having, you can just so let us see the next one. Tables. We don't have any much to work in this. So the most of our work is in the descriptive part. Next is the compare mean. Yes, here we can do some more analysis, what we have discussed in Excel. So compare means. So mean testing, about based on mean testing. So if you recall the table which we have done, I made you to note down during testing of hypothesis. So based on the parameter, we go for testing. So in that, one of the parameter was mean. So these were the names mentioned in that chart, the possible test. So t-test, we had 3 different types of t-test and say ANOVA. So all these are used for testing the means. So I would like to go for the independent t-test, same what we have seen in there in our Excel. So in test variable, we have to put the dependent variable. So which is the dependent variable? Salary. In short, we have to put the numerical variable in the, that is quantitative data in the test variable. Grouping variable, when I can go for t-test, that is independent t-test is used at which situation? I So if I select faculty rank, how many groups are there in faculty rank? Three categories: professor, associate professor, assistant professor. So I cannot consider that particular variable in the independent t-test, or that is not suitable. But if I take discipline, yes, that I can take because it has only two categories. Also, I can take gender if I'm having gender information over here. So let me bring that, because we are having the result of that in Excel, so we can cross check it. So I will take the gender information. Let us change the variables. Information here. String. Yes, nominal correct. Okay. So let us go for the analysis. Analysis. Compare mean. Independent t-test. So salary will be in test variable. Grouping variable, I will take the gender. Now it is asking me to define the group. Correct? Define the groups. So order doesn't matter. Okay, I can write male first or female first, order doesn't matter. But let us see what will happen when I type the group in this. According to this data, say if I type here female and in group 2 I type male. I am now clicking on continue. Go to option. By default, it is 95% confidence. Okay. See the output table which you have got now. Of course, the summary first is given. The mean salary of female, the mean salary of male. And in the independent t-test, let us understand this table. What information is given to us in this? First column, it is written as Leibniz test for equality of variance. We didn't type any of the option. We just selected independent t-test. We had input the data. We clicked OK. And independent t-test is for which test? Comparing the means. Okay. But if you see the first information, it is saying Leibniz test for equality of variance. Can you just recall something related what we have done about this? during the time of Excel? Anyone can recall the procedure of independent t-test?
Ma'am, we perform F test to check whether we have equal variance or unequal variance.
Very good. Thank you. So first we have to perform F test to check the equality of variance. And then we have to decide from that which assumption you have to take, equal variance or not equal variance. And accordingly, you have to proceed further. That thing in SPSS it is done by itself because it knows the program is done such a way that this is the first most step for independent t-test. So hence, I just input the data. I didn't click anything for the F test, right? But automatically it has performed the minimum requirement. So here the test name is called as Leibniz test for equality of variance. The F value is given and the significant value is also given. If you can slightly recall or you have saved your Excel work, our significant value was also something around 0.9 only. We got one tail value, we converted into two tail, and we got something around 0.9. Isn't it? And since your p value is greater than 0.05, so we do not reject. Hence, assuming equal variance is selected, hence you can see the significance value against equal variance assumed. And corresponding significance value for equality of mean. That is the next column. The heading is written t-test for equality of means. And the p-value, two tail, it is 0.568. So which is the similar value which we got in Excel, greater than 0.05. So we do not reject H naught. And the same conclusion we are getting in SPSS also. Gender doesn't have any impact on salary. So salary doesn't depend on the gender. There is no significant difference in the salary on gender. Is this clear to everyone? Can you now compare and relate what we were doing? Let us go to the next option which is available. Analysis, compare means. Of course, pair t-test is not possible in this data because we don't have any before and after. We can go for one-way ANOVA. So let us click on one-way ANOVA and see what information it is asking. Yes. One-way ANOVA. Dependent variable is my salary.
Ma'am,
I
excuse
have
me, ma'am.
selected. Yes.
Ma'am, if it is an experimental study and when we are having a post-test and pre-test, then can we go for that paired t-test, ma'am?
Yes, yes, sure. So I will show you how it looks. Pat test. You will select your before after variable, that is pair of data in this variable and variable 2, and you have to just click OK. That's all. We'll be having two variable, na, before after data.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Thank you, ma'am.
Analysis. Yeah, welcome. So one way ANOVA, it is just showing me. See, we have seen this in our first session of SPSS also. In different tests and options, different types of data is been available for the test. So when I selected independent t-test, I was able to see quantitative data as well as qualitative data. That is, I was able to see both the type of data. But when I am clicking one-way ANOVA, I am able to see only the numeric data. That is only quantitative. And I am clicking on the dependent variable. OK button is not highlighted because the minimum requirement is not satisfied. That is factor as to be mentioned. That is, you have to give some input in the factor. Then only I can click on OK. But what will I put here when none of the option is available to me? Factor is nothing but qualitative type of data. So if you remember in ANOVA, we tried for rank, because in that we had more than two groups. Na? We had professor, assistant and associate. So we have done for ANOVA with on that. But here also I want to do the same thing. But because of some limitations, restriction, I am not able to put that. So this is what the important place where we are landing now. The importance of data entry in SPSS. Till now, I didn't do any change in the data entry, right? I was just copy pasting the data as it is. The appearance was there in Excel. I just pasted. I didn't do any change. To some extent, I was able to work on the raw data. But when I'm coming to ANOVA and a few more other tests also, you will come across this situation where it will not take string data. It will not consider string data for the analysis purpose. So if you see in our variable view, it is under string. Of course, it is a string, right? Professor, associate professor, and assistant professor. But each test has its own limitations to some extent, that it can use only this particular type of data. Similarly, for ANOVA, all your data should be, that is, your type of the data should be numeric form. Then how will you convert the faculty into, that is the faculty rank into numeric? This is where actually the role starts, where you are stuck up what to do of a statistician, that the coding part. So you must have heard many of them. I have to do codings in the data, coding karna hai. I have to clean up the data. I have to set the data. You have to arrange the data as per the requirement, etc. So this is what that is. Okay. Then how your data should look. So here is the data set which I have modified for you. If you see, I have created a new column. So here I have already created, but I want to perform and show you. So hence, what I'm going to do is, I am going to now add a variable next to the faculty rank. And I am going to give the name as rank code, just for our understanding. Okay, rank, that is, I'm going to code the rank. Okay. In label, you can write coded data of rank. Okay, I have to code the data in numeric form. So first let me code the data in numeric form. So first you will decide, you have to first make a note what coding you're going to give. So again, order doesn't matter. It is just a coding. But just for having a clarity and clear about the code, we will take professor as 1. So you should not type in this form. Now it's a small number, so I'm typing manually. Otherwise, in Excel, you can just do that thing in a second. If you remember, just you have to, what you have to do? Replace all the professor by 1. Replace all the associate professor by 2. Replace all the assistant professor by 3. So you can use the replace function and do this change. Here just to show you how we have to go for, I am typing for you manually. Because we will be working with thousands of data. So during that time, you cannot sit and type like this. You have to use the replace option to do this. So currently, make this change and keep it ready. And I will let you know next what we have to do. So here, you and me know what is this 1, 2, and 3 denotes. Okay, because we have just discussed now and we have given a code because I want it in the numeric form to perform my ANOVA. Okay, so let us perform and then I will show you what is the limitation and drawback and how I can overcome that. So I have made the code. Let us see in the variable view. Acha, in the measure, make it as scale because now it is number, right? Analysis. When I'm making scale, what it happens? It will consider it as a number, but actually this 1, 2, 3 denotes what? It's an ordinal type of scale. Remember this. Because your 1, 2, 3 is not any measurement. I am giving what? I'm giving a coding for a particular category, right? Now go to analysis, compare mean, one-way ANOVA. Now can you see a quantitative, that is dependent variable salary is there, and the coded data is also available for me to put in the factor. Got the difference? What it was earlier and what is now? Is this part clear to everyone? Why we have done the coding?
Yes, ma'am.
Now click on just OK. Don't do anything.
Yes,
First,
ma'am.
let us see what it is happening. Simply click on OK. So you will get the answer, salary of the faculty based on their ranks. Okay, so you got the ANOVA table, and this ANOVA table, if you cross check the value, it's the similar same value, and my P significance value is 0.00 less than 0.05, So we reject, and the conclusion is same which we got. That is, there is significant difference in the salary based on the ranks. Okay, so work is done. So during this time, many of you asked about a name called as postdoc, which is not possible in Excel directly, but in SPSS, yes, we can do it. I got to know that there is difference in the salary based on ranks. Now I want to know in which rank, that is between which category there is a difference. Just give me a minute. I just now let us apply the postdoc test to understand between which rank there is difference. So go to analysis. Suppose if you want to see your recent work, recent analysis which we have performed, you can see button, fourth button from left hand side after the print, which calls as recall. Recall the recently used dialogues. When you click on that, you will get the recently used, and you can go directly from that also, the shortcut to go to the recently used dialogues. Okay. In that, click on postdoc. There are so many postdoc tests. Generally, LSD is used manually, but the best one is when we do in software, Tukey. Tukey is the best one for postdoc test. Just select Tukey and click on OK. Continue. OK. Now we have got the result of postdoc also. And it is mentioned multiple comparison, salary of the faculty based on the rank. And we have taken the two categories, one with 2, one with 3. That is, one is professor. That is, 1 they are comparing with 2 and 3. 2 they are comparing with 1 and 3. 3 they are comparing with 1 and 2. You will get the result. Now you and me know what is this 1, 2 and 3. But how? The third person who is going to come and see only your output will understand what is this 1, 2 and 3. So to make this coded meaningful, we have to do a small work in the variable view. So coming to the variable view, in that, if you remember, when I was explaining you about this window, I was telling that about the values. Currently, there is no use of values. So we didn't discuss anything on that much. But this is the right time now where you will understand the importance of values. Now you and I know what is the meaning of 1, 2 and 3. So let us come to the rank code. Click on values and you give it a meaning. What do you mean by 1? 1 means professor. So if you want to type completely, you can type the complete word also. 2 means associate professor. And 3 means, so value 3 and label. What you want, what it mean? Assistant professor. Add. Just click on OK. Okay. Now come to data view and see the numbers which were there in the rank code is changed into alphabet. Now everyone can understand what does it mean. But come to the variable view, the type is numeric only. Can you see that? Our data type should be numeric for performing ANOVA. So that is not changed. Only the look of the data, the presentation of the data has changed. That in place of numbers, because that number can denote anything. Here 1 and 2 denotes professor, assistant professor. Suppose if I'm coming to gender, there 1 and 2 may denote male, female. The 1 and 2 meaning change everywhere depending upon the variables. But your type should be numeric. Okay. And your measure should be nominal. Fine. Now come to the analysis part. Again, go for the recently used shortcut key. One-way ANOVA. Everything is selected as it is. Click on postdoc the to key. If not, continue. And okay. Just see the difference in the output. See. You had made the change in the value. Now everyone is understandable. Earlier it was 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 3. So who knows what does that 1 and 2 means? But now it is very crystal clear. The comparison between professor and associate professor. The comparison between professor and assistant professor. And you can see the significant value. I have highlighted for you by selecting it. This SPSS window gets little delayed. So we will wait for a minute and see what is up. Okay. So if you see here that it is selected. Okay, these two values. From this two value, you have to make the conclusion about the independent group. So P value for the first one is also less than 0.05. That means we reject. So the salary between the professor and associate professor, there is a significant difference. Okay, there is a significant difference in the salary between professor and associate professor. Then if you take the next possibility, professor and assistant professor, again the P value is less than 0.05. We reject the null hypothesis. That means there is a significant difference in the salary between professor and assistant professor. So now it is the next one, total 3 possibilities we can do. Associate with professor will be the same as professor to assistant. Associate, so no need to do that. It's like relation between A and B is same as B and A. So in the first one, we have got the relation between professor and associate. So the same interpretation will be there for the second one also, associate and professor. So no need to write it again. But here we have a different combination, that is associate professor and assistant. P value is not less than 0.05. We do not reject the null hypothesis. And here is that place where we can find no significant difference in these two ranks. According to this data, that means moreover the salary is same to for assistant and associate with maybe very close. They are not much difference. When there is much difference, then you get it as significant difference. Otherwise, it is significant difference. So here there is no significant difference in the salary between associate professor and assistant professor. So this is how the post-hoc test interpretation goes. So this is the 1B ANOVA and the post-hoc part. So you should know where I have to do the coding, where I have to make the set the values. So this all comes when you keep on practicing. So you may practice this with the same example once again. If you stuck up in any of the step, you want to ask any doubt in the changing of the variable, how to put coding, etc., you can ask me. After 5 minutes, I shall go for the next topic. Anyone is having any doubt in this part? Okay, so we will go for the two-way ANOVA in another 2 minutes. Those who are doing it, you can just perform. Let us see the next one. Two-way ANOVA. So when you come to the option of compare mean, you are having only t-cluster and one-way ANOVA. There is no two-way ANOVA option here directly. But when you go to general linear models, the next option below that, in that, if you go to univariate option, here this is the place where we can go for two-way ANOVA. So this is the place where we can go for two-way ANOVA. So now for two-way ANOVA, same. Dependent variable is my salary. And your fixed factor would be your factors. But if you see in this case, just by inputting the salary, the OK button is highlighted. So you don't input any other factors. Just click OK and see first what exactly you are getting. It will simply create by default with one of the variable that is based on the rank. It will take by default any one categorical variable and perform with that and give you the analysis. But when you input the required, that is as per your requirement factor, then you have to put in that fixed factor. So for example, here I want to work with two factors, right? Of course, one will be my rank. So here it doesn't have any problem about the scale. So let me go with my original data and see how my output window is going to look. Of course, second, I am going to take gender. The similar example which we tried on the Excel. So if you remember the output or the conclusion what we got in two-way ANOVA also was, there is a significant difference in the salary based on rank and no significant difference in the salary based on gender. Okay, that is what we got. I'm not going to click anything in the options given. First, let us only click OK and see what exactly it is going to give you in the response. So if you look at in the table which we have got now, we are having the faculty rank. There are of course so many informations what are calculated, but our interest would be, I'll just double click and highlight and show you rank of the faculty, gender, and next thing, if you remember, during the time of ANOVA, I explained something which is missing in Excel is the interaction effect. So this is what that interaction effect is. Faculty rank cross gender. Faculty rank cross gender is the interaction effect which is missing in the two-way ANOVA of Excel. So if you are going to give the conclusion or decision based on the significance value, it is similar what we have got in the Excel. Of course, the result should match. Faculty rank is less than, so reject. There is significant difference. Gender more than 0.505. So no significant difference. And when you are going to relate That is, take the interaction effect of this both the variable. Then there is which hypothesis to be considered? Null hypothesis, right? Because my significance value is more than 0.05. So we do not reject. And if I take the interaction effect, there is no significant difference in the salary. Then there is an interaction effect. So this is how we can perform the two-way ANOVA. When you click on, say, general linear model and say multivariate, here it's still more in the advanced level with more factors and covariates. For example, if I'm putting salary in the dependent, see now, OK button is not highlighted because it wants factors. So one factor I have put, second also. Now still it is not because covariate is also required. Suppose if I take the covariates, so what it is saying, string variable is not allowed. So there are some restrictions in some of the tests, accordingly you have to change. So that means here also it requires numeric value. That is, a string should be converted into numeric and a value should be given. For example, if I take the gender in the fixed factor and the coding which we have done in the covariates, see now it has accepted. Okay, but still there are few more information, that is something called as weights. That is what I said, it's an value which you have to give. Again, if you see here, string value is not considered. A number is required. We give some weights. So when you give the weights, etc., so like this, it itself will explain you, give you an idea. When you go on clicking, you will get an idea, you will get an experience, and you will be set after some time for this analysis, what type of data I should have, string or numeric. So it will help you and guide you if you know at least to some extent to start with. So analyze, general, repeated measure. So I just gave you an example when I was discussing about the pair t-test. For one particular subject, if you are having only 2 observation at different time period, it is pair t-test. But when you have more than, then that is what repeated measure ANOVA. This is all the next level. Once you start learning the basics, you may try all this thing by your own. Once you get a hand touch with all the analysis one by one from the basic part. Next thing, what we had seen in the Excel was correlation, if you remember, correlation and regression. So here, if I go to correlate, in that the first one bivariate. So from here also you can understand what type of data it is considered here for analysis. Can you identify what type of variable it has taken for the analysis purpose? Which type of data it is possible? Why all the columns are not listed in the left-hand side? It will consider only the numerical type of data. So coded data and salary, the data type is in numeric. Hence, I am able to see only that two variable in the list. Suppose if I click the coded data and go to option. So here by default, nothing to select. But if you see here, till my OK is not there. So here if I click on mean cross, why OK is not selected? Because I need two variables at a time, right? I've selected only one. If I select your salary, when two variables are selected in this variable of the right hand side, then I will get the OK button highlighted. But just understand what exactly is going. Just go and see what exactly is going to happen here. It is giving me the correlation between what and what. Between the rank and the salary. So just imagine whether it was a sensible relation. No. Right? Salary is a continuous data. And rank is a qualitative data. So you click anything, you will get the answer because so it is very important to understand also for which variable I can have which test. That is very important. So if you remember the Excel part, while we added different data set. It was based on some auto MPG data, right? So for correlation and regression, we should have continuous type of data. But since the data type are numeric, it is getting selected and it is ready to go because according to the system, it is some numerical value. But if you perform and you get an output, it is not an relevant or valid output to interpret. Fine. But if you want, I can show you by taking our data set of Excel and this of regression. Okay, that is one more way to, I'll show you the second way. Till now in the first sum, I was just copy pasting the column from Excel to SPSS, whatever the column we were using. Okay, but when you have a big data set, you can directly import the data in SPSS from Excel. So now I will show you that procedure so that you learn both the way. So for that, first you should know very clearly your Excel data set is in which sheet. Okay. And till which column we need. So my sheet name is regression and my data is from A to H. Actually, G and H is not required for the analysis purpose, but just it's in data information. Let us take till H. Okay. So let us come to SPSS. I'm just closing now the unwanted sheets. Okay, so we'll first open a fresh sheet, a blank sheet, go to file, open, data, you will get a dialog box. So now in this, you select the path. So my location is in the folder workshop, but my file type is in Excel, right? So you have to select the file of the type in Excel. You will get the Excel files. So this is where my data is in the file. Click on open. So since there were so many sheets with the data, it is asking you which sheet data it wants to read. So select the drop box. I want to say regression. Okay. Oh, sorry. File, open, data, Excel. Select the file, open, and regression. By default, if you see the worksheet range, it is from A1 to Z1000. So you can specify your range here if you know the proper space, because it is going to take unwanted column also. If you want, I will just show you by doing OK by not selecting any specific range. I'll simply press OK here. See, you will get the data. Also, you will get all the things what I have written. And if you see till all the 1000 variables, can you see something called as dot 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 here? Which will assume it as missing variables. See, all dot dot is present. If you can see, all dot dot is been there, because if you have used that sheet roughly here and there, all that dot dot it is means something was there and you are not using currently. So in order to avoid this, because what happens when you do in this way, I will show you that also. We will go to frequency, simply count, okay? I'll go to say cylinder variable statistics. I'm just taking the okay. Some take descriptive. We will take any number, say first one only, MPG, and just click OK and see what it is showing. Your values. Okay. So it is giving you the count. Okay, that it's not showing any missing in this case. But if you see in our data set, there are very dots present, which we observed some errors when we tried with some other analysis. So to be in a safer side, we see to that we take the proper range. So now you can check here for COVID. Take any, the same thing what we had seen in the last lecture in Excel, all the continuous one. Here we don't have anything in other variables. It's all by dummy variable which has been created. Click on OK. So you can cross check the answer. It's the same what we got in Excel. If you have kept the answers, what you have performed in the regression, you can match it later. Okay. So this is how you can export your data from Excel to SPSS directly. And it's always to be safe that you don't select any blank cells, because in few tests it may create problem. So this is how you got a correlation. So the correlation between MG and displacement is minus 8.33. That is, there is a negative correlation between these two variables. Now at this point, I want to explain you about the type of correlation. So coming to the bivariate correlation, when there was an option of correlation coefficient, here my data was continuous and by default Pearson is selected. Kindly make a note for your reference. We have correlation coefficient computed for quantitative data as well as qualitative data. You can compute correlation for qualitative as well as quantitative. If your data is quantitative, you have to click on Pearson. If your data is qualitative, for example, according to this data, it is showing cylinder and acceleration is qualitative, it is nominal. So when I am having a qualitative type of data and I want it correlation to be computed and the type should be numeric, that is very important. You make it numeric and then you convert into the coding, that is the next part. Then the correlation coefficient used for qualitative type of data is Spearman or Kendall. Any one can be used for qualitative type of data to check the correlation. But generally when I am going for linear regression, And to check the correlation, it is going to be it is going to be Pearson, P for Pearson, okay? Because for regression, my data is going to be continuous. Next, for last analysis for today. So go to analysis, regression. There are so many types of regression to apply, to learn. But the starting stage to learn from the beginning is what? Linear. So once you understand linear, then later on when you understand the concept of other regression, when to use, etc. Of course, by reading the steps, you can perform and you will be able to interpret also when you learn the theoretical part on that. So here I'm going to show you just a simple one which we had performed. Linear my dependent variable is the first one, MPG. Independent variables, so it is S. So it can be one independent or more. So displacement, horsepower, weight. Okay. So your acceleration is taken by default is nominal. But if you want it in an analysis for a numeric, then you have to convert and take it as. Let us see what was there in our history about. See, acceleration is a continuous data. Acceleration is a continuous data. So by default in SPSS, it is considered as qualitative. So in that case, you can change it. Let us see what it has taken variable view, because it has taken so much dummy columns. You can clear it also, the unwanted columns. And acceleration, it is numeric only. But if you see the measure, it is taken by default nominal. As I said, sometimes looking at the numbers, it is little confused. If you see the numbers, it's from between a particular range maybe. Hence, it is considered as nominal. So let us make it as scale. It's continuous as per our data history. The description of the data which was given to us, it is continuous. That is scale. So let us make it scale. And let us remove the unwanted columns. Yes, we have removed it. Now go for analysis, regression, linear, remaining continuous variable in independent option. Go to statistics. By default, it is selected model fit. That is the simple one what we required. Rest, if you want descriptive, you can select. Furthermore, test is there. The higher step part which we don't want currently to starting level. Let's continue. Option also we don't want cancel. Just click on OK, that's all. This is 7. So when you click on the regression analysis, when you perform regression analysis, by default, it will first create correlation table. We didn't select this. It is similar with test. When we performed independent t-test, we didn't ask it to test the f-test, but it was the minimum requirement, right? Hence, it performed it. And performing regression analysis, actual purpose of regression analysis use prediction. When you go for prediction, or there is some relation between two variables, and you build a model. What is the use of prediction in that? Hence, first it if the significant value, all values are 0.05. That means there is a significant correlation between all the variables here. If any of the significant value is more than the level of significance, that means that particular variable is not having significant correlation. Significant 0.05. Therefore, it shows that we'll look at the regression. So ANOVA is given. From ANOVA, you will come to know the overall significance of the model. Yes, there is overall significance of between in the model. But if you see the coefficients, there are two main steps I mentioned while doing the regression. First, you have to check the overall significance of the model. Once we have checked the overall significance of the model, if it is multiple linear regression, it is necessary to check the significant importance of independent variable individually. So during performing this example in Excel, we got to know that horsepower was not significant, isn't it? That variable is not showing significant importance in this model for the prediction. So you see the same output here also now. So the significance value of this independent variables, displacement, horsepower, weight, and acceleration. Isn't it? The three values except horsepower is less than 0.05 and horsepower is more than the level of significance. Hence, horsepower is not a significant variable for using for the interpretation part. So only the performing format is different, the steps and the presentation is different. Till we have the quantitative type of data. We can go with Excel also to cover up maximum analysis to some extent. But when it comes to qualitative, that fails, or there we come across to limitation in Excel. Hence, we prefer SPSS. And you have seen in the data structuring format also. In Excel, we have to make the tabular form as per the requirement for performing t-test, ANOVA. Everything has its own advantage and disadvantage. Here, it's not required. But here in some of the place, we require the data type should be numeric. Then you have to convert into numeric by replacing the categorical variable into numbers. And to understand the meaning of the numbers, we give the values to that. So every tools and techniques has its own advantage and disadvantage. So like this, you can start learning step by step when you get a initial startup to know how to go for. So in tomorrow's session, I will be discussing with you one of the non-linear, that is logistic regression. That is something to know one more type new. There are so many types of regression. But we will go as according to our syllabus content. Logistic regression in SPSS. I won't start now because then we will be in the mid. So better I'll start that topic tomorrow. Along with that, I will introduce about few non-parametric tests, which is not applicable in the Excel. That is, which we cannot do with the help of Excel. That is a limitation over there. So all the non-parametrics can be performed here. I'll show you one or few of them. Depending upon the variables, which test to be taken, depending upon the data types, how directly to some extent it helps us to go for which test. Okay, all that we will see in the next lecture. So I can take another 10 minutes for the doubt session if you're having in general what all we have discussed till now. And I hope you all are practicing also, or taking 2 minutes at least before the session to touch up what all we are doing. And it doesn't mean that only you do in this 5-7 days. You have to continuously practice. Otherwise, you will forget the step. Which option is there in which particular options. So only practicing is the best thing to keep in touch. Yeah, so I can take for a doubt session now. We can have a in general doubt session, what all I have covered till now, from day 1 to today. So thank you everyone for the active participation. All the participants of all the 6 days. Hope it's the same I can see tomorrow also.
Yes, let me invite Dr. Prabhakaran to give the vote of thanks.
Vinit?
There are two things, there are two different reasons for being silent. For not having any doubt. Either you have not understood anything to ask the doubt, or you understood everything that you don't have any doubt to ask. That can be the only two reasons. Which should I take?
Ma'am? Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, will you please explain where we have to use Pearson correlation and Spearman correlation once again?
Pearson for quantitative.
Okay.
P and Spearman is for qualitative.
Okay.
SPSS version is the trial pack. Whatever the latest version you are getting, you can take. But for anyway, for the trial version, you are not going to get all the options to work with. But the basic which we are doing, that is all you can use in the trial version. The actual license, once it will depend upon the organization they will be purchasing for the version.
Okay, thank you so much, dear participant.
Thank you, sir.
Bennett?
Yes, you're audible now. You can talk.
Can I propose vote of thanks? Bennett?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Good evening, Ulla. At the outset, I would like to thank everyone for their valuable participation across the nation. It shows that it is a very important event. The past a couple of days ago we started, and the people are very interested to participate. This is very welcoming one through the online. So at this outset, I would like to thank our organizing side, the Indian Sociological Society, RC 25, Sociology of Sports, the convener, Dr. Sanjay Tiwari sir, and my dear brother, Dr. Bennett, such a wonderful, great personality to organize such a great event. So definitely it reaches each and everyone, those who are participating across the nation. So thank you, and also I express my sincere thanks to our resource person. He delivered such a beautiful academic exercise. Definitely it creates a thought provoking. It will reach everyone. So thank you so much for madam for your insights and thought provoking thing. So today is in research. Whenever we talk about the research, without the SPSS knowledge, we can't do any research in the present digital world. In this context, your lecture was very useful, ma'am. There is no doubt at all. And thank you very much for this
Thank you, sir.
insight
Thank you,
and
sir.
everyone. Thank you so much, and as an organizer side, and thank you very much. And I request all of you, because of today, some of the students, some of participants have some network issues. So please inform that tomorrow. Please join earlier. So most of the students, most of the participants have some network issues. Please avoid such kind of a thing in tomorrow's event. So please, without fail, on proper time, you just join. This is a kind request from the organizer side. Thank you so much once again. So we will meet tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Yes, so thank you
Thank
so much,
you.
Professor Dr. Prabhakaran from Pondicherry University Center for Social Exclusion Studies. And so, guys, we are having one more day for the SPSS. So, actually, we thought of having only for SPSS, but Sanjay Tiwari sir only told me, Bennett, we can frame this course as a one credit course so that all the faculties as well as the research scholars will be getting benefited simultaneously. So, taking into consideration, we have created this workshop after a long struggle. So, sincerely, we have to thank a resource person Shobana Silvaraj. Actually, she is not only a faculty alone, and she is doing PhD in IIT. So getting getting enrolled in PhD for IITs is not a big, it's a simple task. It's a big task. But anyway, she is good enough in teaching as well as doing SPSS work, right? And why we have taken Shobana means, and she is the only person who never take anything for granted, and she's having the capacity to teach in a lucid format so that every one of us can understand the core concept about SPSS. So thank you so much, ma'am. And tomorrow we have the final day of Shobana Silvaraj ma'am, and requesting you all to participate on time. Yes, as Dr. Prabhakaran rightly pointed out, kindly please be on time because we are ending on time. We are not taking your time. Simultaneously, we have to give the time to the resource person also to talk because we have taken huge initiative for that. So requesting all to be the last day. Without listening to the resource person, you won't get any knowledge by listening to the videos. So that is the only thing. I'm requesting you all to be on time, and tomorrow's last day for Shobna, Shelvaraj ma'am. And day after tomorrow, we have two resource persons for day 7 and day 8 and day 9. We are having two more resource person, Abdul Gofur as well as Andy from Indonesia. And day 10, I will be speaking about how to identify cloned journals. So this will be the program. The show will goes on like this, and all the recordings will be available in YouTube in ISS zone. Okay, so as per the direction given by our convener, Dr. Sanjay Tiwari sir, we will be sending you accordingly. So all the copyrights has to be given to Dr. Sanjay Tiwari sir. That he is the one who is taking all the initiatives, and he is the one who is doing all the works behind the carpet, right? And he gave us way to perform everything. So sincere credit to Sanjay sir also. Without taking much time, let me give the vote of thanks. Let me thank everyone, not vote of thanks, thank everyone, and requesting you all and expecting you all to be on time for the tomorrow session. Kindly inform all the friends and faculty members, those who registered for the event, to be on time. Thank you so much. Good night. See you tomorrow.
Thank you. Good night. Bye bye.
Good
Thank you.
night, sir.
Good night, sir.
Thank you, sir.